Friends, welcome. So today we'll be discussing this topic. This is on utilization of input tax credit. In the previous sessions, we already know whenever a dealer or a supplier or GST registered person purchases something or avails some input services, he takes a credit on the GST which is paid up. Is it? You are purchasing something, you are paying GST on that, you take that credit. And those credits are reflected in a ledger which is called as electronic credit ledger. We had seen this earlier. Today again I will be showing you how electronic credit ledger looks like. So in that credit ledger, whenever things are purchased or some input services are available, that GST part is credited. And when it is credited, it has got three components of this GST credit. Part of it is IGST. IGST credit will be there. CGST credit will be there. And what is the other one?
SGST.
SGST credit will be there. In addition to that, sales credit will also be there. But as you know already, we have also discussed it earlier, that if there is any credit in GST cess account, a GST compensation cess account, then that credit can be utilized only for what? Only for discharge of cess liability. Are you getting? When you are supplying some services, you got a GST liability. Okay, so let me show you a balance sheet like this. Let us say this is my balance sheet. This is my profit and loss statement. Okay. Now, whenever you are supplying something, you are generating revenue. So revenues are recognized here. All revenue will be coming here. Let us say you are making sales, you are supplying services. So revenues will be coming here. And whenever you recognize revenue or you feel you generate an invoice, immediately you create a liability. This liability is for what? Liability is for payment of GST. And that liability in the balance sheet and the current liability, it will be appearing your GST liability. Okay. And this GST liability will be in different parts. Let us say I can, for break up it, let us say IGST liability, maybe CGST liability, maybe SGST liability, maybe sales liability. The moment you are recognizing your revenue, automatically your current liability is created. So these two things are linked. Are you getting me? Are you understanding it? Okay. Now, whenever you are purchasing something or availing some input tax credit, those entries will be here. Let us say purchase. Let us say you purchase raw material. Okay, you purchase raw material and you avail some services. So when you pay that money, when you're paying this money, you are also paying GST on it. Is it not? And that GST, what you are paying, that is your ITC, that is your input tax credit, because these are the inputs. You can avail that credit. Okay, the moment you are purchasing, you'll be using the material, that is one thing. But immediately you need to recognize this asset, which is called as the input tax credit. Right? This asset should be reflected in your current asset. And this asset may be in the form of IGST, ITC, maybe CGST ITC, maybe SGST ITC, maybe SES ITC. Right? And this process, continuously you do it. You continuously recognize your revenue or continuously incur expenses to acquire raw material and purchase other items. Is it not? So continuously you create this kind of asset, you create this kind of liability. So periodically you need to settle it. Every month you need to settle it. How much is your liability? How much is your asset? Okay, liability is this much. So you have to summarize. Now this much of liability is there, this much assets are there. You know this can be set up. Now challenge before you use that, how to use it? How to use it? If these assets are not sufficient, then what you can do? Suppose, let us say in total, last class we have seen, let us say your total GST liability is 5,000 rupees. But you got GST input credit of 4,000 rupees. The difference 1,000, what you are going to do? Can you tell me what you will be doing with that? Liability is 5,000. Asset is 4,000. Input tax credit is 4,000. Okay. So this, let us say this is total 5,000. And this asset is 4,000. What you will going to do? Your credit ledger shows only 4,000.
Cash 1,000.
You have to deposit cash. Okay. So how you will deposit? You will deposit in your electronic cash ledger. Right. So in your GST account, which is maintained with GST authorities, so you can say there are two different wallets. One is your cash wallet. Second is your ITC wallet. Electronic credit ledger and electronic cash ledger. So you deposit money in your cash ledger. Now your wallet balance increases and you can use it. To the extent required, you can use it. You can create a challan and pay it. Okay, understood? This is what we have to do. Now, there is a process of utilizing this thing. That is what we are going to learn. In which order we will be utilizing, that will be learning it. This is the concept. Okay, did you understand the context? What we are going to learn today? In this context, we will be learning the subject utilization of input tax credit. Now, friends, going to share the slides with you. Look at here. Yeah, give me a moment. Now you see. Input tax credit may be under three heads. Sales is different. We are for the time being we are keeping this sales part aside because sales can only be utilized for, you can say if there is sales, you can say if sales asset is there, sales asset can only be utilized for sales liability. Okay, sales can be, you can say this is reserve. Sales can never be utilized for any other. This part is important. Now we got three other kind of assets, three other kind of liabilities. How to deal with that? I will be telling you. Okay. Now you can see ITC means these are your assets. First, you understand, watch it carefully. If there is an IGST credit, you see, it can be utilized for settling IGST liability first. Okay, you can use it for settling IGST liability is there, IGST credit is there, you can use it. And you can also use it for, sorry, next point, let us say, if there is a CGST ITC, that can also be utilized for settling CGST liability. And if there is SGST credit is there, that can be utilized for SGST settling SGST liability. So these three parts, I think, clear. No confusion here. Okay, so IGST can be utilized for IGST payment. CGST can be utilized for CGST payment. SGST can be utilized for SGST payment. Is it clear? Please respond. Yes or no. Unmute and talk.
Yes, sir.
Now, next part is IGST can also be utilized for SGST, can also be utilized for CGST. Okay, meaning IGST can be utilized for all three. But first, it can be utilized for IGST liability, it can be utilized for CGST liability, it can be utilized for SGST liability. Is it okay? Now coming to CGST, I told you first it can be utilized for CGST liability. Then if there is still some CGST input tax credit, that also can be utilized for settling IGST liability. CGST can be utilized for IGST and also for CGST. CGST will be utilized, it can also be used for IGST. Understood? CGST for this purpose. Similarly, SGST can be utilized for SGST liability. SGST can also be utilized for paying IGST liability. That's it. No further uses possible. That means CGST can be utilized for two purposes, for settling CGST liability or IGST liability. SGST can also be utilized for two purposes, for SGST liability and CGST. SGST liability and IGST liability. Meaning, again, I repeat, CGST cannot be utilized for SGST liability settlement. Okay. And SGST also cannot be utilized for CGST liability, etc. Is it clear to you? So these two things are not possible. From here to here, not possible. From here to here, also not possible. Are you getting me? Yes or no? Will you respond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let me put the same thing in a different manner. Now look at this slide. Now here, this thing also you have to keep it in mind. Now we are talking about utilization of input tax credit. So what I told you, if you are having IGST credit, first you have to remember that this has to be utilized first. First exhaust the IGST ITC, then you utilized CGST and SGST. So IGST first you pay IGST liability. Then next step is that pay CGST liability. The balance remains pays SGST liability. Okay. But of course, CGST, SGST, you can pay it in any proportion up to you. But first pay IGST, then CGST, then SGST. If there is CGST credit, then first pay CGST, second pay IGST. But it is not allowed for SGST. And if there is SGST credit, first pay SGST, then pay IGST. But not allowed for settling CGST liability. SGST cannot be utilized for CGST. CGST cannot be utilized for SGST. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Now let us
Excuse me.
on this text. Now let us think. I again repeat. Few other points also need to remember. First, you see, credit of GST sales can be utilized only towards payment of GST sales liability. This is what we already know. Sales credit can be utilized only for paying GST sales liability. That means it cannot be utilized for IGST, CGST, SGST, or UTGST. It cannot be utilized for. Okay. Now, one more thing. Credit in electronic credit ledger. What is electronic credit ledger? Electronic credit ledger is where your ITC appears. That can be used only for payment of tax, meaning it cannot be utilized for paying penalty, interest, etc. Okay. Aishwarya, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yeah,
can you go to the previous slide?
Okay, you want to have a look at the previous slide. All these
Here,
videos will be made available to you. So if you want, you can pause the video and you can take slide copies also.
I have a doubt here actually.
Yeah, please ask your doubt.
Here you have written after paying IGST, the second pay is to CGST. Like
Okay.
after completing the total payment of the liability of CGST, then only it can be used for SGST or half.
Okay, we'll come to that. We'll be learning an example for that. But actually, this can be used in any proportion. I have, for the simplicity, I have explained you to do it in a particular order. Okay, it will be clear to you once we learn this example. Maybe wait for another 2-3 minutes. We'll be learning this example. So now you are asking whether this sequence is necessary. Sequence is necessary. First, you have to use IGST, but after that, whatever money remains, you can use it among CGST and SGST in any proportion. Okay, in any proportion. That's what I'm going to explain right now. Okay. Please wait for maybe another 10-15 minutes. If it is still not clear, then again we'll come back. We'll discuss this. Okay, Aishwarya?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, the credit in the electronic credit ledger can be used only for payment of tax, meaning it cannot be utilized for payment of interest, penalty, late fee, etc. It cannot be utilized. Interest and penalty can be paid only through cash payment. That means by using your cash ledger only, you will be able to pay this, discharge the liability of interest and penalty. Okay, credit is available for only for payment of tax, not for payment of penalty, interest, etc. Now, yeah, this is the example I wanted to explain you first. Once you learn it, then you have to participate in a workshop where we'll be doing it. All of us will be doing it. You may take a piece of paper and yourself try to utilize this liability. Okay, now you see what's the situation. So you see these three kinds of taxes are appearing in the first column: IGST, CGST, SGST. And what is the ITC available? Can you read it? ITC column. Can anyone, if you read it out? IGST is how much?
1000,
CGST,
300,
SGST.
300,
This is the ITC available. And what is the liability under IGST?
500,
CGST,
500,
SGST.
500.
Now you see this is a situation where my liability is 1500, and I'm already having GST, having ITC of or credit of 1600. That means actually we need not pay, but let us see whether we have to pay something or not. Let us try to do this, try to solve this situation. So as you know, you already know, if there is a IGST liability, I can pay it out of my IGST. First, I have to use my IGST credit. So 500 is the liability for IGST. Is it not? I have credit of 1000. So 1000 rupees, 500 can straightway go here. And how much money will remain here?
500.
500. And this 500 I can use for payment of CGST and SGST in any proportion. Okay, in any proportion. So now what is my CGST liability? 500. Okay, I can pay by using 300. Remaining, I can bring it from IGST and pay it. I can do it. Or I can do one thing. Here I have got 500 liability. SGST also I got a liability of 500. And I have CGST 300, SGST 300. So I can do with this thing. 300, 300, you can use it. Remaining money I can bring from IGST equally. That also I can do. Okay, 200 rupees from IGST credit. Here also 200 rupees from IGST credit. I can do it. Okay, but CGST I cannot use for SGST. SGST I cannot use for CGST. Are you getting it? So if I plan for settlement, it will be like this. Now you see, look at this table and try to understand it, because after that we'll be doing our workshop. IGST is 1000. This is the available ITC. IGST liability is 500. So let me first set up this the liability by using ITC. So liability setup is 500. Is there anything to be paid in cash? No, because 500 is the liability, 500 is settled. Balance carry forward also 0. Okay. Now, why balance will be 0? I will be explaining you, because the remaining balance will be utilized in next two liabilities. Now, CGST, you know, available ITC is how much? 300. I have a liability of 500. I can do this thing. I got already having IGST liability of unused ITC of IGST of 500. I would like to use it fast. Always IGST has to be utilized fast. So what we'll do, I'll be using 250 out of this. Remaining 250 I will be paying out of CGST. So 250 from IGST balance, 250 from CGST balance. Similarly, I got a liability of 500 at SGST, but input credit is 300 rupees. So 250 rupees I'll be paying from IGST, 250 rupees I'll be from SGST. If I do so, my entire IGST getting exhausted. And there will be a balance of 50 rupees in my CGST credit. And there will be a balance of 50 rupees in my SGST credit. Total balance will be 1. What I am doing exactly here is that first exhausting the IGST credit. I'm trying to adjust IGST liability settled. The remaining, I'm doing it equally between CGST and SGST. Okay, if you want, you may not do equally also, but try to adjust IGST liability fast. Is it clear to you? Or you have
Sir,
still
is
some?
it, sir, is it mandatory to like exhaust IGST for like in that place CGST and SGST can have the amount with them? Like, why can't we use that like here also in CGST and IGST that 50 rupees and remaining in IGST 100 rupees it will be remaining there. Is there any problem?
Yeah, there is a problem. There is a notification which requires us to utilize IGST fast. Okay. Okay. In some part of last year, that notification came. Before that, it was possible. Before that, it was possible. I'll be showing you that notification also after some time. Okay. Because of that thing, that is why we have added this thing. Because of that thing, you have to adjust IGST fast. Otherwise, there is no requirement. You can keep money in IGST idle, but now there is a requirement to do it. Okay, so if you look at here, our previous slide, let me take you. Here. Therefore, please keep it in the mind, fast utilize, to be utilized fast. So that is why I'm insisting that if you are having IGST credit, you fast utilize it. Then come to other liability. Is it clear to you why I am using it? Because you're using because of that notification. Prior to that notification, what we are saying, I can do it practically in any order. And we are doing like this, but now that's not possible. Let me see if that notification is available with me. Okay, there is a what yeah, can you read it here? So this has become from 1/4/2019. So there is a requirement 1/4/2000. Are you able to see it here?
Yes, sir.
So these notes are given for that thing. See, this is provided to Rule 88 of CGST rule, inserted with effect of 1/4/2019 and Section 49A of CGST. So 1/4/2019 onwards, this has come. This notification has come. The rules are inserted. New rules are inserted. That first you have to exhaust your ITC. Are you getting why I'm insisting now? First adjust IGST. Okay, is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Now let me once again explain you that thing. So that is what we are doing. So whatever IGST, ITC is there, first I'm utilizing it for IGST. And balance, my intention is to exhaust IGST. So what I'm doing, I'm equally distributing between my CGST and SGST, and balance I'm utilizing. Balance money I'm paying out of my ITC of CGST and SGST. This is how I'm managing it. Okay, so now let us note down some additional things. See, first case you see. First case, IGST liability is 1,000. Sorry, IGST credit was 1,000. Liability was 500. I use 500 credits. Okay, balance is 500 is still there, which will be utilized for CGST. For that thing, please read this note. Balance ITC of 500 IGST should be fully exhausted before utilizing available ITC of CGST, SGST, UTGST. Why I am doing it? Because this provision to Rule 88A of CGST rule inserted with effect from 1/4/2019 and Section 49A of CGST. Because of this thing, I am doing it. Okay. So as per 49(5)A, ITC to be utilized in the order of first IGST, then CGST, then SGST. Okay. Second case you see, there is a ITC of 300 rupees, liability is 500 rupees. So I need to use IGST. So IGST I have distributed equally to 50 to 50. Balance money I am using, balance to 50 I am using for my CGST credit. So balance still in CGST credit, there will be still balance of 50 rupees. And in SGST credit, there will be still balance of 50 rupees, which will be carried. So the liability of 300 have been set up out of IGST balance of 500. IGST balance of 500 was there. Out of this, 250 was used. And remaining 200 liability from CGST credit. Available CGST to be carried forward and would have 300 minus 200 is 100. Okay. And similarly, SGST credit, it is not exactly 100. I can make it in 100. If you want, I can do it. So what I can do it. So 250 I can use from IGST. Balance money entirely I can use from CGST. That's what we have done. Okay. And balance money also from SGST, we can use it from SGST. Once IGST is exhausted, I can use CGST and SGST credit in any order, not necessarily 50/50. I can do it in any order. I can use, if I want, entire money from SGST or entire from CGST. Is it clear to you?
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, please ask a question.
Sir, if ITC of IGST, sir, is not there, it is 0.
Yeah.
And sir, in CGST ITC, sir, we have 1000.
Okay, now let me show you that question. His question is that if IGST is 0, we'll be doing all this thing in our workshop. If IGST is 0, I told you, let me show you this thing. Yeah, let me go back here. So here point is that IGST is 0, but IGST liability is there. So as you can see, IGST liability can be settled by CGST and also SGST. If you are having CGST or SGST credit, use it. If you do not have, then pay in cash.
And my question is that the CGST liability will be first used for CGST or we can use first for IGST?
CGST, sorry, I couldn't follow. Please repeat. If there is a CGST liability.
No, sir. So CGST liability is there and CGST input tax credit is there. So those CGST input tax credit will be used first for the liability of IGST or for the liability of CGST.
So your question is CGST credits will be utilized for first IGST or for, okay, let me again tell you that thing. So order, as I showed you, so let us do it in that order only. Okay. Okay, can you look at this order?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if CGST is there, CGST credit is there, then what you will do first?
Yes,
CGST,
Then
GST,
that's it. If SGST is there, then first,
yes, yes.
then
IGST.
IGST. That's it. You cannot use it further for CGST. Here also you cannot use it further for SGST. Is it clear to you now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any other question you have? Now, little more will be understanding it. So because of that development, that notification which I showed you, after which came after 1/4/2019. So we have to take care of this through additional things. It is mandatory to utilize IGST available in electronic credit ledger before utilizing ITC from CGST and SGST. That means IGST credit has to be first adjusted. So that is why in this example, what we have done, first we utilize IGST, then remaining IGST, whatever was left out, we purposefully utilized. IGST we wanted to adjust. Okay, why you are doing it? Now remember this particular point. It is mandatory for you to utilize the entire IGST available in electronic credit ledger before utilizing input tax credit of CGST and SGST. Okay, now next point also, watch it carefully. The order of setting of ITC of IGST can be done in any proportion and in any order. Once that is exhausted, first our target will be to exhaust, it will be exhausted. But here we have exhausted in the order of 50-50. It's not necessary 50-50. You can use 70-30, you can use 100% for CGST also. You can do it anything. That order you can decide. Sorry, that proportion you can decide, but order is decided. So the order of setting of ITC of IGST can be done in any proportion and in any order towards setting up the CGST and SGST output after utilizing the same for IGST output. So one IGST output is utilized. After that, you can do it in any order, but your intention should be to adjust IGST ITC first. Okay, did you understand now? Now, credit of CGST cannot be used for payment of SGST or UTGST. And credit of SGST or UTGST also cannot be utilized for payment of CGST. Are you getting all these points? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Now, here you have to keep few other things in mind. We are talking about ITC or input tax credit. We'll be again repeating all these processes when we'll be learning the payment process. Now, few basic things also we need to learn at this stage, that what are the conditions to avail this ITC. So this is a beautiful thing that you can use your input tax credit for payment of your output, for payment of your liability on your supply. But to do that thing, you have to see that certain conditions need to be complied. First condition is that the dealer or the registered person should have tax invoice. For example, let us say you are saying, I got this much of ITC, but you should have a tax invoice for that. That invoice should show that actually GST has been collected from you, GST has been charged to you. On that basis, you will be taking input tax credit. So that is the first condition. One has to see that GST invoice should be available. Secondly, the goods or services must have been received, and the return, which is GSTR 3, must have been filed. The supplier must have filed in GST return. In that return, he must have disclosed that he has supplied some services or some goods to you, and you are eligible for ITC. The next point is that the tax charged must have been paid to the government by the supplier. Supplier must have paid that thing to the government. So if these conditions are complied with, then you can avail ITC. Okay, so it is a kind of self-monitoring system. So one can have invoice whenever we are availing some supply, we're getting some supply, we keep our invoices. And also we can check by going to GST site that whether the credit is reflected or not. Once we see it is reflected, we can take input tax credit. So that's why it is called as the self-monitoring mechanism, which is matching the concept of invoice between the supplier and the recipient of goods and services. Only after things gets matched, then one is eligible to take input tax credit. Okay. Understood? So all these things are possible because timely various returns are filed in timely manner. So these are various returns. Or before going to these returns, let me take you to GST website. To explain you how it works. Give me a second. Let me take you to GST website now. I think all of you know what is the website address. Just give me a second. gst.gov.in. You can go here. So registered persons have their login IDs. So we can use a login ID with the user's permission. For academic purposes, I'm using it. I need the password also. Can you read the captcha? I think this is correct. Let us see. Yeah. So GST payment I had already shown you. Today I wanted to show you this ledgers, electronic credit ledger, electronic cash ledgers. So you see various other links are available. You can find out services, returns, ledgers are available. So electronic credit ledger is the place where you see the input tax credit. Okay, right now in this account, electronic credit ledger balance is 0. Okay, so you can see a ledger of a particular period. You can understand what are the balances. Let us say we are looking for, let us look at from let us say July 1 to today's date. Just like in accounting ledger, you can find it out. So you see central tax means CGST, state tax means HGST. So these kind of credits are available. How it is available? Because the person who has supplied the material, he has filed a return. And one can also verify that whether this credit is available or not. So once we know this credit is available, one can take input tax credit. First of all, these returns, these credits are available on provisional basis. Later on, when the final return is filed, this gets confirmed. Okay, so now I am sharing the PPT with you. Give me one more second. So therefore, under GST law, you require to file various returns. We'll be learning about these returns in detail in our return chapter later on. But right now, just have a look to understand what are the various kinds of returns one need to file if you to comply with the GST law. First of all, GSTR 1, a registered taxable person, should file the details of outward supplies. Okay, detail of outward supplies. If he's making some supply, that has to be filed. Okay, dates are there on different dates. 11th of the subsequent month. GSTR 2. Okay, details of inward supplies. 15th of subsequent month, he has to file. Okay, then one monthly return. GSTR 3B. That also needs to be filed by 20th of subsequent month. Okay, then composition pillar, will be learning one more scheme which is called the composition scheme. That also quarterly return needs to be filed. return of non-resident taxpayer, non-resident taxable person, that also will be learning what is this. Then various other kinds of returns are there. Okay, so mostly you have seen, you have now observed that when things are supplied out for outward supplies, you have to file a return, and for inward supplies also you need to file a return. Okay, so by matching all these things, one can utilize the GST credit. So once GSTR 1, that is the outward supply, is filed by the supplier, the recipient has a visibility of its purchase. I think last session I had also shown you GSTR 2A. GSTR 2A will reflect all the purchases. Just 1 second, let me show you that thing also. Once GSTR 1 is filed by the supplier, the recipient can see that these are the things I have purchased or which input credit is available. So let me show you GSTR 2A right now. Give me a second. For that thing, let me go to services. You see return page. If I go to return dashboard, I'm going to return dashboard now. Okay, okay, let us see for this period after August, we can find out. You see, this is the auto drafted details. Now we are seeing for view only, one can see what are the GST purchases are there. There may not be anything right now, but one can see it. Or let me go to a previous quarter, like one can find it out. Again, going to return dashboard. Say quarter 1. I'll search it. You see, this is GSTR 1, detail of outward supplies. 1 has to 5. Okay, this is auto drafted details. That means for others outward supply, for us this is inward supply, one can view it. Just you can see this details are here. Details are not there. I will show you GSTR 2B. Sorry, wrongly I went to ledgers. I want to take you to returns. Returns of a old period I am taking you. Let me see that thing. Here you see auto drafted ITC statement. One can view it. Are you able to see it? So these things are available. One can see what are the credits available under different heads: central tax, integrated tax, state tax, and cess. One can download it in Excel file also. Now, how the system works? First of all, one files GSTR 1. Once someone filing GSTR 1, his outward supplies, this becomes visible to the person for whom that is inward, for whom it is inward supply. Okay, suppose I am supplying some metal, I will be filing GSTR 1. The person who has purchased in his GSTR 2A, it will be shown that this much of ITC is available. So if he wants, he can accept it or he can modify it. That possibilities are also there. He can accept the form, or in GSTR 2, it may modify it. Okay. So after that, finally, when GSTR form 3 will be filed, the credit can be confirmed. Finally, the acceptance of input credit will be communicated by a form which is called as MIS1. Now, to understand the entire concept, we need to take an example. Quickly, let us learn this example first of all. let us say one manufacturer is purchasing steel and it is using for producing something. Okay. So when he purchases steel, the steel purchaser and the person who has supplied steel, he has to file a GST or what? He'll specify in detail that this much of material I have supplied to this person. This is his GST. Okay. And he will file that. The moment he files, that will get reflected in the other person's GST account. He can see this much of input credit is accepted, is available. Okay. Right. He may get it corrected also. That process will be same. Okay. After that, he'll be able to avail input tax credit. So all these things automatically happens to this side. So this process will be understanding in our next class. We'll take one more example to understand the entire process. We'll see how ITC credits are utilized. And after that, we'll be doing an exercise. Then we'll move for one more workshop we'll be doing. Okay. So today we are closing our session here. Next class will start with this example. Okay. If possible, come prepared to the next class so that we'll be able to appreciate the example in a better way. Okay, friends. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.